No, sleep till. Sorry, I was just doing my DX impression. At this point, I'm sure they needed a nap before the show, during the show, and they probably fell asleep right after the cameras went off the air. Never the fucking less, I'm John Rant with my review of the season premiere of WWE Raw from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Sleep till... Oh wait, I already did that. Boy, that was certainly an ending to a show, wasn't it? It's like we flashed back 20 years. You know, back when the ratings were like quadruple what they are now. Look, there were some decent moments, but honestly, this episode, there's such a thing as tapping into the nostalgia vein way too much, or going to the nostalgia well to the point that you poison the goddamn well, and now the nostalgia is goddamn laughable. Speaking of laughable, we start off with DX comedy. We have 4 cocks on camera. Ah ha 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 ha. Look, I'm all for immature humor. I mean, I've made my life on it. I will continue to make my life on it. This felt forced. Also, I'm just going to get it right out of the way now. When it comes to Road Dogg, that is proof of what being a racist, homophobic bigot, and a right-wing nutjob will get you. It will make you unhealthy as hell. God damn, he was bigger than the Jeep they rode in on. Actually, the Jeep in 1998 and the Jeep they rode into this show today, Human Centipede together, along with, oh, I don't know, every goddamn member in the Norfolk Scope. Seriously. I really wish that Brad was still here and the Road Dogg had passed away in 2012 because nobody would have missed him. His kids would have been better off having a dad that actually wasn't a goddamn idiot. And yeah, I'm not going to get off my goddamn high horse there because you know what? I can let a lot of things slide when it comes to wrestlers because nobody's perfect. I'm not. Everybody's got skeletons in their goddamn closet. It's getting very hard to hide the smell from the police, nevertheless. There is such a thing as, not being able to, forgive certain certain behavior. And Road Dogg has just proven that he's a goddamn idiot and a piece of shit. And I hope his wife and kids leave him because he doesn't deserve happiness. It's a damn shame that he's still around. I will say this, though. Shawn Michaels, God bless Shawn Michaels. He was able to keep one eye on DX and the other eye on the tech support people. Triple H was there. Oh, they're so old. Yeah, you guys are, and you guys were old when you did this shtick in 2006, even though it got some pretty big pops. Remember when Road Dogg and Billy Gunn did the VKM Voodoo Kin Mafia? That was fun. I will say this much, though. At least X-Pac was there, and X-Pac seems like he's in good spirits, and I actually hope that X-Pac gets an appearance at the Royal Rumble, and maybe make him part of a multi-man match at Mania. Give him a good send-off. He's actually in a good place and actually doing some good shit and seems contrite in, the stuff that he's gone through, the stuff he did. And hell of a goddamn talent. As opposed to Road Dogg, who was the black sheep of the goddamn Armstrong family and had Bullet Bob pulled out. We wouldn't have had to have worried about Road Dogg. Because he would have been sleeping without that baby tonight. So anyway, Corey Graves and not Steve Patrick, no, Kevin Patrick, I kid, on commentary. There were a few too many people digging into Kevin Patrick. Look, I can't understand half of what the guy says. That's not knocking him. It's hard for me to understand Irish accents, Welsh accents, when they're being fired at me a mile a minute. That's why I need captions when it comes to Irish or Welsh horror. So it was a bit hard for me to understand, but I don't mind the guy. The reason I call him Steve Patrick is because of the thing that Kevin Owens said to him a while ago when he was a heel. Your name's Kevin? I don't like that. Change it. So that's why I changed it to Steve Patrick. Corey Graves, by the way, needs to be arrested for every suit that he owns. Every bad suit he owns, which means that he will be spending the rest of his life and his kids' lives in a federal prison. Oh, darn. So, the Raw theme is shit. There will be positives here. The positives may come after the next segment. Now, I will say this. Let's hear it for the Universal Champion. We have the Bloodline. Their entrance takes 14 years. And I will say that everybody plays their role well. From Roman to Solo just standing there looking menacing, to Jay being upset, to Jimmy being on Sammy's side, to Heyman just being himself. Okay, you know what? Here, back on my high horse. Speaking of Heyman, okay, the anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic attitude that was brought up by Kanye West. That guy that I wish he had gone with his goddamn mom because he's a mediocre musician, a mediocre producer, Doesn't have any actual goddamn redeeming qualities. It's a shame that he was allowed to reproduce. Kim Kardashian's an idiot for reproducing with him. What the fuck is wrong with you, Kim? And I know that he lost his mom and he lost family members, and I'm sure that's terrible. And look, it's terrible to lose your parents, lose people that you're close to. That is absolutely horrible. You know what? It doesn't excuse the fact that he's a goddamn piece of shit. Tweets out that anti-Semitic bullshit. And then MJF, and I'm going to this for a second, going to an AEW part. MJF gets picked on for rightfully calling out all the bullshit that he said. And Heyman has gotten plenty of that on his Twitter feed, at least what I've seen. And that's bullshit. If you are going to hate Jewish people just because they're Jewish, if you're going to hate them because of the content of their character, like, oh, this person's just terrible, I don't care what their religion or whatever is, okay, fine, we're all judgmental people. But if you're going to hate somebody just because they are simply Jewish, just because of their beliefs, you're a fucking asshole. And yeah, I just went on a goddamn rant about Road Dogg and everything because he's a right-wing nutjob and a Trumper, but they deserve every bit of ridicule. All of y'all do. Any of you are watching this, you don't fucking deserve happiness at all. That goes for members of my family. I've actually sworn off half of my family members because they wouldn't be idiots. They continue to be idiots. So that's why I gotta say about the anti-Semitism when it comes to Kanye West. I hope Kanye West ends up walking in front. Actually, just walk off stage and nobody's going to catch you and then we'll all just watch you rot there because that's what you fucking deserve. You deserve to rot away because you're a terrible father, you're a terrible human being, and nobody's going to care. Nobody with a brainstem attached is going to care when Kanye West passes away. So anyway, back to the show, assuming now that anybody is still watching after, well, getting pretty, not too far into the show and quite a few rants. Yeah, the Bloodline entrance taking a bunch of years, and everybody plays their roles perfectly, as I was saying. Oh, Roman's upset at Jay, but then Sammy interrupts and says, no, Tribal Chief, you said Jay was my problem. Your behavior isn't very oozy. That was sort of fun. Look, still haven't forgiven Sammy for the jackass match at Mania. And I mean in the ring. Sammy's been killing it in this role, and he does great humanitarian work. A lot more than a lot of other people. Speaking of humanitarian, I'm really glad to hear that the Gofundme for Sarah Lee, her unfortunate and shocking passing, has soared past the 20,000 grand goal, or as opposed to not 20,000 grand, and is up just above 100,000. That's good. The kids deserve to be taken care of, and hopefully this can provide just what little solace for this shocking tragedy. So, Riddle shows up. And they go back and forth. Riddle can't challenge Roman, but he offers to face one of his goons. And then Jay says, yes, Sammy, why don't you step up? So he does. And then we get recaps from Extreme Rules. This is a post Extreme Rules show. We are nearly 30 minutes into a 3-hour wrestling show. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of that talking segment was good. But this is to the point where they either didn't have much of a crew. They didn't fly enough people in. They had... apparently Carmelo Hayes on Main Event, assuming Main Event is, being broadcast anywhere, like in the U.S. now, because I think their TV deal with Hulu kind of went up in smoke. And apparently Von Wagner was part of the Main Event tapings. Von Wagner, one of the worst second-generation wrestlers in existence, and they call him up. Yet there are others that are toiling away in NXT. They don't call up Braun. I know Mr. Steiner is a champion, but just call people up and have Wagner just be a bodyguard. Then you'll call him his long-lost pal. Let's get some humor in this. Nearly 30 minutes, though, before the first match. Gargano versus Theory. This crowd sort of popped for Gargano a couple times. I don't know if they didn't like the crowd or what, but apron bump, don't know why. Theory made a brief comeback, got hit with DDT on the floor, DDT in the ring, 1, 2, 3. Almost a squash. People like Gargano, I don't hate him. I've just seen all I care to see from him. So then we go to Gable with Otis versus Ray. And, alright, it was wrestling. Look, Ray and Gable can work. Ray doesn't really mean much of anything. He probably should hang it up after this coming Mania. Hang it up before you're unable to continue to go, and Gable is damaged goods at this point. Then Rhea and Dominic show up, and I'm just going to say right now, I love Rhea, but if they think that I'm going to endure Dominic Watts, actually, he's worse than Von Wagner. At least Von Wagner has size. Dominic doesn't offer anything positive when it comes to wrestling as a wrestling character. Not as a human being, as a wrestling character. And if they think that I'm going to continue to say, oh, good God, Rhea looks great. She looks like a movie star. I am not going to dignify all this stuff with Rhea if it means I have to watch Dominic Watts. So no, thank you, WWE. You have made me wish that Rhea was either on another program or that I don't see Rhea at all because I have to put up with Dominic. Thank you, WWE. Thank you, Triple H. You goddamn idiot. Judgment Day, easily one of the worst things going. It's overly NWO-like, where, oh, they're just beating down people and they're doing this, but the problem is they're only feuding with one person. They're feuding with Ray in this feud. They're trying to build up this thing with father and son. Dominic isn't ready. Ray, bless him, cannot make this work. He cannot go at it alone. So, Ray wins. This Ray Judgment Day feud is shit. He won't hit his son. He won't hit his son. 2007 Chris Benoit did worse. One little slap wouldn't hurt anything. Might fix his goddamn stupid ass mullet. If anybody knows anything about hair, it'd be me. Oh, then we go to we run Monday Night Raw, Judgment Day says. That would explain why the ratings have cascaded down. More recaps. Finn says he's too legit to quit. It is nice to know that Triple H is about as hip as Vince is when it comes to the hip-hop references. Then Styles shows up. Oh yeah, well, you've been right, Finn. I need friends. I wasn't talking about you. Suddenly, Gallows and Anderson show up. Who were just on New Japan television, or New Japan programming for the last Burning Spirit show, I think, just a couple weeks ago. September 25th. And Gallows faced Yano in a terrible match because Gallows doesn't mean anything. And Carl Anderson, who is the current Never Openweight champion. They could have dropped it to Tanahashi, didn't. Now he's still the current Never Openweight champion. Was supposed to face Hikuleo on the final Battle Autumn show on November 5th before World Tag League and Super Junior Tag League. Those tours, humans had to be together and presented as one. So, okay, one of two things. Okay, one, maybe this means a brief working relationship with New Japan between WWE and, well, New Japan. Okay, interesting. I'm not against it. Send a few people for Wrestle Kingdom. Couldn't hurt. You might be able to freshen some people up. You might be able to freshen up the scene over there in New Japan as well, if that's the case. I don't know if that's the case, but possible. Also, secondly, Anderson, do they still suck, bro? You goddamn idiot. You keep holding on to that 2012 G1 Climax final appearance. The height of your goddamn singles career. Oh, look, Vegeta. More bald people. But Carl Anderson proceeds to tweet that out when Sean Ross Sapp had put out something right after Daphne had unfortunately passed away. After she had taken her own life. Terrible. Absolutely horrendous. Feel really bad for Daphne. And Sean Ross had put out something like, these WWE saying this. We're gonna provide counseling and everything. And Anderson responds with, wow, they suck, bro. And then he also said back in 2020, which I get why him and Anderson would have been upset. Or him and Gallows would have been upset. They signed contracts instead of going to AEW. And then they were released a number of months later. I get being upset at Vince. Vince released a whole lot of people, and I totally get it. It was budget cuts, even though it was bullshit. Gallows and Anderson didn't mean shit within a year of coming to WWE. They were middle of the card. They were like, a fatal four-way at Mania 33. I don't remember if they were on the Mania 34 card. They haven't meant anything for years and years. They were in Impact, and people say they were doing great things in Impact. Great. 10 fucking people watch stuff in Impact. That's all due respect to the talents that work hard in Impact. It's in purgatory. Their stuff in New Japan wasn't even good before they left. It was better than when they went to WWE and were basically totally watered down. But Carl Anderson basically just said, "Oh, we're not going to come back. We're never, ever. You put this down in writing unless I need a second pool. Maybe you need a second pool. Maybe you could end up like Rodney King ended up in the pool, except Rodney King actually meant something to this world, unlike you, Carl Anderson. So do they suck now, bro? Hopefully your out-of-Asian wife takes your goddamn kids and you end up alone afraid. Let's get back to this. Yeah, so the Good Brothers, some of the Good Brothers, maybe we take your order, are back. Hooray! I know some people like the Bullet Club. I don't. So, they brawl with everybody, and Rhea takes Dominic away, hopefully to beat some personality into him, or beat him with a stick. I don't really care at this point. Backstage with Damage Control. Bailey's upset. Byron's doing the backstage interviews. You know what? I don't think Byron's that bad on commentary. Have him do the interviews. I hope this doesn't mean that Sarah Schreiber is gone. I think Sarah Schreiber has a good personality. She's gorgeous. She has a good look for TV. I know Kathy Kelly is back with the company. Speaking of gorgeous and with a great personality. But Byron doing the backstage interviews, doing this kind of sit-down stuff, this is fine for Byron. He's good in this element. But Io, God, kill me with your thighs, you coward. So, Roman, Heyman, and Solo leave. Roman says, Jay, you need to make sure Sammy wins. Spoiler alert, he doesn't win. Candice took on Bayley. And Candice won with a roll-up. Okay. I mean, I get the idea that we're probably supposed to make it like Bayley might have lost a step. She had every advantage and still lost. But then, Io and Dakota show up. Again, Io, crush me, please. I have issues, clearly. Bianca shows up with no music, no musical cue, and she just ran down there. That's a good start. Don't always play the music. Why? Because you're just indicating that it's no surprise. And then she gets beaten down. Okay, we're going to continue Bayley versus Bianca. Fine. Because Bayley should beat Bianca. Bianca has done a tremendous job as champion. She doesn't need to be Raw Women's Champion going into Mania. What she needs to be is she needs to be SmackDown Women's Champion by the end of Mania. Switch her there, put the Profits over there, have her beat Charlotte, because I think Charlotte's going to end up being Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Possibly. So anyway, we then have Maurice handing Miz a bat. And I felt like taking a bat to my head after watching this segment. Miz's birthday celebration. Maurice got gifts. Okay, I know that Maurice is French and English is her second language, but it doesn't even sound like she can speak French properly. I can't understand a goddamn thing she says, and they need to stop having her talk. Please, please, just stop having her talk. Hey, huge red balls. This is funny. This is one of the worst segments WWE has done all year. Hey, it's Loomis in a box. What's in the box? It's Dexter Loomis. I just said me. So then Miz tries to take a bat to it. And then Loomis shows up and starts choking Miz out. And they have to do a retake live, by the way. We're live, pal. To kick Maurice into the cake. And she couldn't even do the cake spot right. God, you can't even get a face full of cake right. Watch Blue is the Warmest Color if you want to see how to get a face full. Moving on from that. If you've seen that movie, you know what scene I'm talking about. And if you read up on that movie, you will never want to watch it again because the director is a piece of trash. So, of course, who wouldn't want to dive into Maurice's cake? Apparently, a lot of people would, according to my timeline. So, Loomis deflates Miz's balls. Eat the cake, eat the cake. God, it's nice to know Brooklyn was taking this seriously. Shawn, he encourages two jobbers. He was able to keep one eye on each of them. I will stop with the Shawn Michaels eye jokes when he starts booking NXT like, a wrestling show. And then DX is back there. Miz is upset with his deflated balls. Again, deflated ball. Do you get it? And Road Dogg suddenly makes a match. I don't know why Road Dogg has any power. I don't know why Road Dogg's there. Genuinely do not know why Road Dogg's there besides being a friend of Triple H. But Loomis versus Miz. Miz, if you win, then Loomis is gone forever. If you lose, then he keeps your gifts. I don't know if Road Dogg ran out of steam. Probably did because he was thinking about storming the Capitol like he wished he would have on January 6, 2021. But nevertheless, I don't think Road Dogg knew what the hell he was saying. But then again, he didn't know what the hell he was saying while drugged. So sober, probably even worse. So then Edward James almost beat up two jobbers. Two enhancement talent guys. Didn't catch their names. It's not that they don't matter. I just don't care about Edward James almost. And he won. The guy seems like he has personality. Reform the Hurt Business and put him as muscle. Put him as a bodyguard. Do something. Do something. It doesn't involve me watching this goddamn walking tree stump trying to wrestle. Recaps of Bray's epic return. I say epic because I saw some people really shane on it. Let me make it clear. And I said this much briefly in my Extreme Rules 2022 review, which you can check out. I was indifferent towards it. It was cool. They had a bunch of callbacks. They did have a little bit of a tribute to Brody Lee because somebody was wearing one of the Bludgeon Brothers masks. And then Bray walked through a bright, shiny door like Brody did when he was the Exalted One. That was cool because Brody's death really affected Bray. And that was a nice little touch. And that was a way for him to have a little bit of closure, honor his friend. That's cool. The problem is it's still Bray Wyatt. And none of his, well, I can't say none of his matches have been any good. I can't point to more than maybe 5 that I've really said, wow, I need to rewatch that. He's a barely above average worker, and that's it. He's a cool storyteller if you care about the story. That's it. So, anyway, yeah, we get the Black Phone Bray. I mean, look at the Black Phone trailer. I mean, I'm not knocking. It's probably the same person that makes the masks. Lashley shows up to a pop. Hey, I'm going to face Seth Franklin Rollins. Seth Pheasant Rollins. Oh no, the Boar Cowboy shows up. He's a Boar Cowboy. And an F5 he rides. And Germans, you to death. My God. Okay, I don't really have the rest of the lyrics there. Let's just move on to the fact that Bork showed up to a pop. At this point, the show was pretty dismal. One women's match, by the way, the whole show. Could have cut a couple matches down by 3 minutes, had a tag match or something, but nah. Need to have multiple segments of DX, because 25 years of DX when it feels like 25,000, I guess isn't long enough. So, Boar Cowboy, hey, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. And then combined age of 90 in the ring. And then an F5, a German, a second F5, and a Kimura, and then we go to break. Lashley's supposed to face off against Rollins. Then recaps of Bork doing damage. Here's Rollins. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Seth Pheasant Rollins shows up. Says, fight me. You're a disgrace to the title. You're a disgrace to your country. Don't know why he did that. This is a way to basically get the title off of Lashley and make him look like a complete buffoon. Because he's been beat up. The officials are like, wait, you want to go? You want to go? Okay, we'll let him go. And then they do some moves and Seth wins. I'm not against Seth being a champion. I don't think they know what they're doing with Lashley. It just seemed like they knew what they were doing. He held the championship for almost 100 days. I hope that Rollins does open challenges and we have some good stuff, but I don't know what they're doing here. Lashley is pissed. Here's Byron. Hey, look, Vegeta. More bald people. He wants Bork next week. And then Black Phone Bray, as I'm calling him. And he controls the horizontal and the vertical. And these are the Pooter limits. Revel in what you made or what you created. Or revel in what you are. And then Riddle, speaking of reveling, Riddle's high on life. We get it. He smokes weed. Apparently also Bray's going to be on SmackDown. And Elias is returning next week. Riddle and Sammy had a match. It was basically more about Jay helping and then Sammy telling him not to help. So Jay told Jimmy not to help and then Riddle won. And then let's break it down and more broken down. Good fucking God. Look at Road Dogg, the state of him. You pathetic shit weasel. God damn. It's a shame that you survived your health scare a couple years ago. So DX, I'm sorry, one of the most overrated stables ever. Now they were good for the time, but tell me, are there a lot of memorable moments for good, after 2000? I can count a handful. For me personally. I always thought the NWO was better and the Four Horsemen was better, but don't get me wrong, I'll take DX over the Bullet Club. Road Dogg is awful. X-Pac, shouts out China, that was cool, and then Sean keeping one eye on everybody and keeping one eye on the camera, one eye on his guys, and then they do this stuff and no Bray, no nothing, no whatever. I mean, I know the X-Pac is probably the only one that could take a bump. Triple H has a pacemaker. Sean probably would be able to see straight if Bray hit him, and Road Dogg can't take a bump because, let's be honest, Road Dogg's a terrible wrestler and always will be. But X-Pac, have him appear in the Rumble, give him a good send-off. Why not? So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Did I rant quite a bit? Sure, but you know what? This Raw kind of pissed me off because, yes, I get it was a season premiere. It was a way to have 25 years of DX. It felt like 25,000. This was not a good episode. Agree, disagree what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ricklin. I'll see you soon.